So I will be analyzing Mulholland Drive, and Mulholland Drive was hands down one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. And by weird, I don't mean in content, but really, I just couldn't understand it at first. And it's a relief to me to know that even some experts in the film industry couldn't figure it out. It seems that the movie wasn't meant to be understood. Now, the thing that's frustrating, I think, for most people is the fact that the storyline isn't really clear and cohesive. There isn't a cause and effect that makes sense throughout the movie until really the end of the movie when things make a little bit more sense. So, in the beginning, we're given these characters, one who's nameless and has amnesia, but she gives herself a name, Rita. And then we're given another character whose name is Betty. She comes from Canada to live in her aunt's house and be an actress. So we have them. For some reason, Rita decides to live in Betty's aunt's house, and they meet. Then they're working to try and find out what Rita's true identity is. And so we're kind of, we feel like the plot, that's the point of the plot, is to figure out what Rita's true identity is, and that Betty is going to be an actress. But we find that that really isn't what's going on eventually. So we have all these other characters who don't really fit into the plot too much, like the director. We don't really know what his purpose is. He's sort of just a side character who's almost unrelated, who doesn't even interact with the two main characters until randomly later on in the movie. So Betty and Rita eventually come together, and they have sort of a love affair, and after that, that's when things get really weird. Not that they weren't already, but that's when they get really weird. They have this blue box that we don't really know what this blue box is or does, but they put a key in it, and all of a sudden we're taken to another reality, which we find to be true reality. So everything that happened before no longer matters. But now it seems apparent that it didn't make sense because it was a dream, and dreams just don't make sense. Any dream that I've had, or I'm sure anyone else has had, does not make sense. You can't recap a dream point by point. To reference another movie, in Inception, Leonardo DiCaprio's character says, "Can you remember how a dream starts? Can you even, like, how you got to where you are?" And it's true, you can't really remember the beginning of a dream. It doesn't have an opening scene. It just begins, and you're there. And so that it kind of seems like that's what's happening with this movie. It's just sort of happening. Nothing really makes sense, and it's just all in front of you. You're just sort of supposed to watch it and experience it, which is kind of what's happening. So after we realize it's a dream, the character wakes up, and it looks like Betty, but we find out this person is really Diane. And Diane is living in an apartment that we saw in the dream earlier with a dead body in it of a person named Diane. So we also see that this dream that Diane has could be, as we learn more about Diane, we realize that this dream could have been the ideal life that maybe Diane wished she had. In the dream, she's a talented actress, and she finds love in this woman, Rita, who really isn't Rita, but yeah. So in this real world, Diane's not a successful actress. In fact, Rita is in real life Camila, and they're having an affair. But Camila is seeing the director from the earlier in the film, and so Camila doesn't want to have this affair with Diane anymore. She decides that they should not be together because she has someone else, and Diane's not okay with that. This causes Diane to basically hire a hitman and kill Camila. And we were sort of, after the dream, reality sort of jumps back and forth between the time, and it's not very clear when all this is happening, but you kind of get the idea that all of the killing of Camila happened before the dream started. So she has this dream after she's already killed Camila. So maybe she's kind of put herself in this drug-induced coma to live out her fantasy life where Camila, who's in the dream Rita, actually loves her. And so another character who's sort of a reoccurring, a character who I guess represents a theme, is what's described as a god-awful feeling. And the first time we lay eyes on him, it's very frightening. In fact, it frightens a character to death. And he looks like a homeless demon, almost. He kind of looks like Old Greg, if you've ever seen that YouTube video, Old Greg. And he's, in the end of the film, he's holding a bag with that blue box that we saw earlier. And in the bag is also a miniature version of the old people that we see in the beginning of the film talking to Betty when she gets off the plane at LAX. So they, it seems like the demon releases these old people that are miniature size, and they crawl under the door of Diane's apartment, and then they become full size and they terrorize her. They're just laughing and chasing her. It's kind of frightening, and they chase her to a room where she kills herself. She shoots herself in the head, and after she's dead, smoke fills the room, and the camera pans up above the smoke where you see the demon's face, or what I'm calling a demon. And then it fades into the face of Betty. And so it seems like they're contrasting Betty with this demon, and it feels like Diane is the midpoint of Betty and this demon. Diane is reality, and ideally, Diane wants to be Betty. But in contrast, the demon, or the darker aspect of Diane, is this homeless demon thing. It sort of represents all the bad, like hiring a hitman to kill the woman she loves because she won't love her back, because she broke her heart, and all her failures in becoming an actress. That's sort of what that represents. So, yes, that's my very amateur and analyzing of Mulholland Drive.